Don't get it twisted. Peyton Manning is legitimately one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. Manning wasn't even an embarrassment as SNL host. But let's not get crazy and act like this guy's some sort of comedic genius. He's the Peyton Manning of quarterbacks, but the Rex Grossman of comedians. So stop acting like this guy's the funniest guy you've ever seen. He's not. The Hall of Fame inductions also signify something else, right? The fact that football is right around the corner. In fact, it's already pretty much started. And pretty much this is the first Monday recap of the season. During the season, if you know anything about the show and you know anything about me, we recap every single Monday. So the season hasn't really officially started, but again, it has. So why don't we start with a Monday recap? Why don't we start with Josh Allen getting paid? And I do mean paid. Paid with a capital P. He and the Bills agreed to an extension worth a reported $258 million over 6 years, reportedly with a $150 million guaranteed. And honestly, I love that. I love that for everybody involved. The Bills have been searching for that franchise quarterback ever since Jim Kelly retired. Now they have him. And when you have him, you lock him the hell up and you do not let him get away. Great deal. Great deal for him. Great deal for the team. Great deal for the Bills Mafia. Great deal for everybody. And if ever there was a reason to slam somebody through a table, it's that contract extension. So there's that. Also, we had the Hall of Fame game last week. On Saturday night, the Jets held their annual green and white practice before 20,000 fans at their stadium. That meant the Jets fans were finally going to get a look at their new franchise quarterback, Zach Wilson. Let's just say that the reviews were, quote, not great.
Not good.
Now, that's not my review of Zach Wilson. That is Zach Wilson's review of Zach Wilson. He was the quarterback for 7 possessions. He led the offense to a single first down in the first 4 possessions. He threw a total of 2 interceptions and led the team to 3 points over those 4 possessions. So what I'm saying is, in other words, same old Jets, right? And that's not what I'm saying. In fact, if that's the angle that you're taking, keep on moving because these are not the same old Jets. And there's absolutely no way that I'm going to come in here and condemn a rookie quarterback after a shaky outing in his first showing in the stadium. I mean, that would be absurd. Completely tripping and panicking and overreacting and looking to call this guy a bust after 7 possessions is idiotic. It's asinine. And yes, I'm sure that everybody would have wanted to see better results from him, but I'm not going to crush this guy because he missed Jamison Crowder on a seam route on a Saturday night. And if you're looking to say that Zach Wilson is the next Broadway Browning Nagel, just because his best stretch was a 13-play drive that led to a field goal, you're begging. You have not seen enough to declare him to be a bust, so don't bring that crap around here. I mean, far be it from me, a guy, to be in California to have to point that out, but obviously I need to point that out. Oh, and by the way, the team didn't do him any favors by taking as long as it did to get his deal done. It's not like those types of deals are slotted or anything. And as long as we're on the topic of quarterbacks and their performances, let me digress and ask you something. Man, how good is it to have me back? Just thought I'd ask the question. Not how good is it to be back, but how good is it to have me back? I mean, you got to admit, I have not been giving myself enough credit lately. Oh, and by the way, it's great to be back. It is great to be back.
For real?
Yeah, Rome, I bet it is. You had 2 weeks off. Must be nice. Oh, it is. It is, and it was, and I'm back. And it's great to have me back, isn't it? And yes, it's great to be back. So, continuing on this topic of quarterbacks, you've got Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson is also back with the Ravens after testing positive for COVID in late July. Keep in mind, that was his second bout with COVID. He tested positive and he missed a game last season, right? So last year when Jackson returned from COVID, he said that he lost his sense of taste or smell for an extended period of time, and that, quote, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's not good to have, end quote. All right, so that's a bad deal. That's a scary deal. That's an NFL player, tough as they come, saying that he would not wish that on anybody, right? Yet, according to reports, he is not among the Ravens who were fully vaccinated when they reported to camp. And then he got it again. And John Harbaugh said, quote, Jackson got hit pretty hard with the symptoms, end of quote. All right, so what do you do with that? As an example, I know that Lamar Jackson is not the only player who's not getting vaccinated. I understand that it's a complex situation for some people for some reasons. But this is not just about him, right? At a certain point, for all of these guys who were not getting vaccinated, what are you gaining by holding out and avoiding the vaccine? It may not matter at all. Like, I know it's early August, and I'm not quite ready to make my official declarations yet. But if you're playing for the Ravens or the Steelers or the Bengals, you're probably gripping. And if you're not gripping, you should be. Because there is a noise coming from Ohio, and that noise is scary. And I'm not just talking about Baker Mayfield reacting to Josh Allen's new contract. Baker was asked about that. Baker said exactly the right thing. Quote, I'm not worried, check that, I am worried about winning. I think the rest will take care of itself. Yeah, it's a good for the quarterback position overall. I would be lying if I said otherwise. I am worried about winning right now. I do not know the timeline on it. We have not talked about it because I'm worried about winning this season, end quote. He's talking about his contract. He does not have a new deal yet. So if you hear that and you're a fan of the Browns, you've got to be fired up about that, right? Hell, if you hear that and you're a fan of life, you should be fired up about that. Because when the Browns are good, and they're really good, that's good for the league and it's good for life. But here's the scary part for everyone else in the league. Check out this note from the NFL Network's Aditi Kinkhabala. Quote, for years, there was a marked difference when I covered a Steelers practice or Ravens practice versus a Browns practice. Marked, as in significant. That difference doesn't exist anymore. End of quote. All right, there you go. There you have it. There it is. The difference is gone. When she was asked about that, what does she mean by that? She expanded by saying, quote, since I keep getting questions about this, the tone, tenor, tempo, intensity, focus, professionalism, camaraderie, and basic level of talent was one thing in Pittsburgh and Baltimore. It was an altogether different thing in Cleveland. I no longer see the difference. End of quote. Okay, a little bit. Then again, I've been saying that for years. But this is what happens when you finally do go to the postseason and you punch your divisional rival in the face on the road. So this is no longer a case of the Browns having to deal with the Steelers and the Ravens. This is now a case of the Steelers and the Ravens having to deal with the Browns. And so does everybody else. And yes, even the Chiefs. And if you don't want to take it from me or from the folks who are covering that camp on the ground, check out what Jarvis Landry had to say about what Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are doing. Quote, AB and Coach Stefanski, their strategy to me, since they have been together, it's calculated. Everything they say and do is calculated. End of quote. Hell yes, it is. It's definitely calculated. It's impressive. And it's scary if you're in that division. They are building a bully. So there's a long way to go before the Super Bowl and a long way to go before I get into my Super Bowl locks. But if you're not on that Browns bandwagon now, it's already too late. And don't say that I didn't tell you so, because I have been for years. And if you don't think that they're good, and I mean potentially Super Bowl good, either you don't know what the hell you're talking about or you're just here to hate, or both.